My friends, we have 3 new personas that joined the roster in our newest patch. Sandalphon, I'm going to call her Sandy, Visnu, and spoiler alert, I've already maxed my Shiva. So today I'm going to tell you which ones I think are worth it and which ones you maybe just pick up to fill out your persona schema. But first, I've got a little story to read to you. All right, friends, time to read a totally legendary book, not made up at all. Once upon a time, I got a legendary partner in Raid Shadow Legends. They put a link in the description below, and by clicking it, not only do you support me, but you also get a legendary character and 3 epic characters. There's also a code down below that they added for another legendary Foulbeard character who I am currently maining on my campaign. So support your creator and go down below and click the link. The end. I just love a happy ending. Click below, support me, Raid Shadow Legends. All right, so let's talk about these 3 new personas. So first of all, I'm going to talk about Sandy. Sandy is kind of a more defensive typed based persona. Let's go over the instinct up here. And so you've got Titan's Protection. So it increases defense by a large amount when Sandy is present, increases shielded allies defense by 28%, and when not present, that's a key one here, increases shielded allies defense by 15%. When using a unique skill, decrease HP cost by 15%. And then when you go to the end, you basically are just going to get yourself higher values for this. And so what's really interesting here is that even when this is not your active persona, Sandy will still give your shielded allies additional defense by 25% if you have it fully overclocked, otherwise 15%, which is still not bad. And so where might this be useful? Well, honestly, this is great in your Fox teams because Fox wants defense to scale up his damage. And particularly if you're running him with Yukimi or you're running him with Cherish, he's going to be living on shields pretty much the entire fight. And so this just becomes a permanent 15% defense buff, so long as there's the shield present, of course, just for having the persona in your roster. So for those Fox lovers out there, this is one I recommend picking up, at least at the base value, and then just throw it in the background. Don't even necessarily switch to it. Another place that this can actually be useful is if you look at Devoted Guard, grant a shield to party equal to 25.5% of user's attack plus 771. When shielded, increase damage by 20.4% for 2 turns. This particular persona can be helpful in things like tough challenges in Mementos. Like when you get those mini bosses or those sub bosses that have crazy mechanics and maybe put out a lot of damage, this isn't a terrible one to pull out. I wouldn't say it's worth picking up specifically for that reason alone, but it's an added benefit if you're going to pick up Sandy for something, like a Fox team, for example. Now, if you're not using a Fox team, I would say there's not a significant amount that I would use this particular persona for. Some of you might argue, the almighty stuff, but ultimately it's just not one you're going to be pulling out of your kit much. So it's the lowest, I think, of the 3 that are in this new batch, but good for a Fox team. I've already picked one up. I only did 1 copy. This is not one I necessarily am going to max out anytime soon. You do have a limit on the coins here, but I do think for your Fox teams, worth picking up and just throwing on your 3rd slot. So that then brings us to the next one, which is actually Visnu, and I'm just saying actually because it's sitting next to me on my screen. Visnu is a really good persona to grab. I'm definitely going to recommend that you pick up at least a copy, if not thinking about maxing it out in the future. And Visnu is good both on its own in teams and specifically in win teams. And this is kind of like another version of Norn, you could say, but without the shielding. So this is really here to increase damage via the winded effects. So again, we'll start with the instincts. We'll pop up over here. At base value, goodwill to all, increase crit rate by 17.5, increase windswept accuracy by 20%, increase damage to windswept foes by 13%. When inflicting or resetting windswept, decrease target's defense by 32% for 2 turns. So you're already getting more damage going into the enemy by having windswept, and if you forget what that is, increase critical taking rate by 10% for 2 turns, and now you're bringing down their defense as well. If you max them out, you're going to bring up the damage to windswept foes to 20% from this 13, and the defense to 48% from the 32. So really potent debuffs going into the enemy for the instincts up here. And then you look at the signature skill, Wind of Nirvana. This is a single target wind damage ability. It has a 75% chance to inflict windswept, and remember, you're going to go up and increase that because of your instinct. If target already has windswept, reset the duration and increases skills damage by 27%. Also, increase foes' wind damage taken by 27% for 2 turns. So what's good here is this is inherently good for, applying and reapplying Windswept. But then if you are working within a wind team, you're going to get this extra benefit of the added damage. So Visnu is going to be at their best with wind teams. So think your Fleuries, or pretty soon we've got, Mont Figure Skating coming up, who has a wind form. So this is where you're going to have your best, value out of this persona. But this is also just generically good for applying Windswept on single target and having, this extra instinct up here, which increases the defense down. Now you can utilize Visnu in AoE teams. So you've got Magarudyne over here, which again is going to apply Windswept. Hopefully it's all going to depend on your ailment accuracy. So you can use it in AoE situations. Just know it's kind of like AoE battles, good. Single target battles, better. Single target win battles, the best. So it's kind of like a tiering thing. So this is a good character you can pull up to get that winded effect and these extra pieces here. Definitely worth a pickup, and one that I think over time I may actually max out personally. So one to look out for. And then as far as, and I didn't cover this on Sandy because Sandy is kind of more niche, but as far as your build down here, honestly, this is where I look at things like your, Windswept boosts. You could look at wind boost. It's already actually got it on there, things like that. So that way when you're attacking, you're getting better wind damage. You're more guaranteeing that your Windswept is going to hit. You might have to throw, something on there to increase speed, just depending on your speed and stuff on your teams, but a pretty easy one to build around. And then the final one, and you can see I maxed it out already. So you might, it's actually sold out. I have to go into my persona deck here, is going to be Shiva. And make no mistake, Shiva is there for Haru. Okay. And this is something you're going to see it come up more and more often, is as we get these new DPS units coming out, a lot of times they're going to come with a specific persona that's really tailored around them. So Shiva over here, you can see I maxed out. If we look at overclocks, if we back it out to 1, increase attack, at start of each turn gain wisdom, activate even in reserve. I had this question come up on a live stream. Shiva is still going to give you the wisdom stacks when they're not your main persona, which is very helpful for the way that you play this character. Stacks up to 3 times. When a unique skill spends wisdom, apply the following effects. So if it's 1, increase the skill's psycho damage by 33. At 2, decrease foe's defense by 30% for a turn. And 3, increase target's psychokinesis critical rate taken by 12%. When you bump this up all the way, you're going to get a 33%, a 45%, and an 18% percentages on those 3 buffs over there. This character is really all around your psychokinetic damage, your side damage, if you will, and that's what Haru is going to be doing. So you definitely want to pull this one out if you want to maximize your Haru team. I personally love the Haru team setup, which is why you see me maxing this already and why I'm already working on the dagger, spoiler alert, for a different video. And the signature skill here, Dance of Destruction, deal psychokinetic damage to all foes equal to 100% of attack. Spend all wisdom stacks to activate those special buffs. This karmic alteration, that's what these things are up here. And so the way that you would play with a Shiva is, again, wisdom's going to activate in the background, and your Haru should be going after Wonder. So your turns 1, 2, and 3, you're doing whatever you do in your team to set up your big damage, and you've built up 3 wisdom stacks by the time you get to your turn with Wonder. And so then you launch Dance of Destruction on turn 3, which is going to align to the big damage window. For example, having Haru launching her big skill. You're going to have your Futaba potentially running her big skill. And this is what's going to culminate into a ton of damage. As always with your builds, you're going to want to boost the things that really matter. And so, for example, on Shiva, you could look at, adding skills like, whatever you need for speed to get them to go fastest. You can add attack. You can do side boost, things like that. And then otherwise a pretty flexible character altogether. You're really just whipping it out for turn 3 to launch a Dance of Destruction. So think about how can you make that hit for the highest, make it accurate, everything else. So this one for me personally, again, and this is because of my love of the Haru team, which is, if you're doing it like me, you've got Summer, Tomoko, you'll get Haru, you've got Cord, and then you'll have Futaba, plus the new dagger that came out. And this will just have you causing so much destruction on the Haru team. I would say from a priority standpoint, if you're going to invest heavily into a Haru team, that is the one I would prioritize the most. if you're skipping Haru or you're just picking up Haru to get a little bit of damage, but you're not overly concerned about, the min-max game, then I would just say get 1 copy, and then also make sure you get a copy of Visnu. And that's how I'd really go into. But if you want the, max destructive force of your Haru team, you're going to want to get that one Shiva, and you're going to want to max it out as quickly as possible and then start working on your build to really amp up your side damage for when you do launch your skill 3. But those are the 3 new personas. I love them. It's a good batch. I think the only one that is potentially skippable is Sandy. Otherwise, you can use it to fill out your Wonder Schema, because you do get the points, whenever you do that. So you can see I've, damn near maxed mine out. I just need to pick up a couple I haven't picked up yet. If you have any questions, drop them below. My friends, I am working on 10,000 subs. I would love it if you drop a like and a sub in particular if you haven't already and you're enjoying the content. And hey, even consider being a member. A couple bucks a month supports me, helps me make content for you. And don't forget, we do have the link below for Raid Shadow Legends. Clicking that does help support the channel. And until our next video or live stream, friends, please take care of yourselves.